Hey all you beautiful people, welcome to the Colorado Trail. Good morning, I'm Katie, that's Fluffy Dog wandering behind me, and we are at the Indian Creek Trailhead about to start section 1 of the Colorado Trail. This is one of 3 places you can start the Colorado Trail. You can either start Waterton Canyon, which is the traditional route but does not allow dogs. You can do Roxborough State Park, which is probably the prettiest route but also does not allow dogs. Or you can do the Indian Creek Trail, which we are doing, and it does allow dogs. So you can see some corrals behind me. This is a horsey campground, and we are getting started on the trail. We actually have been already hiking for 2 days to get to this point. We're camped about a mile down the trail, so we're gonna go back to our camp spot and pack up our stuff and make it probably about 5-6 miles today is the plan. It's going to be 13-14 miles total, but we're going to be going real slow because, as I learned coming this way, there's a lot of snow, there's a lot of ice, and it's going to be slow going. This is the campground. Way up through there, which you cannot see, is the parking area. And the trail starts going down. One way you can know if you are on the right trail and headed the right direction is the Indian Creek Trail, Trail 800, goes down to start with. And if you are starting out hiking up, you're on the wrong trail. I know that from experience. You will be looking for this trail, Indian Creek Trail 800. And the bears are out. At least they're probably coming out intermittently. Technically, they're still in hibernation till usually April, I think. But I saw some bear tracks up at the campground, so they're out. That's a bear track. This is how big it is. It's very large. So proper food storage, even in winter, is important because the bears don't necessarily stay in their dens all winter long. They do come out. It is quite icy. I have my ice spikes on. They are basically non-negotiable today. Later in the afternoon, the ice will soften up a bit, but right now this is solid ice. In this beginning part of the trail, the snow is very nicely packed down, which makes a lot easier walking. A little further on, we're going to be post-holing, but I will be grateful for the packed trail that I've got right now. Did you find a critter? Is there a critter under the snow? No, no critter. That's footprints, though, that aren't just fluffy prints. How tall is that snow? Is that pretty tall snow? Enjoy. It's about a mile from the trailhead to Bear Creek, which is their first major water source on the trail. It's totally frozen over right now. Fortunately, we got to Bear Creek pretty late in the afternoon, and there were a few puddles that had melted where I could get some water without having to melt snow, which I was grateful for because it's a pain to melt snow. But once we cross Bear Creek, we will be back to our campsite. This morning, Bear Creek is a sheet of ice. Woo. Hi, buddy. Even with my spikes on my shoes, I have to tread really carefully across this stuff. And there's where we camped last night. I left the tent set up while we hiked to the trailhead and then back here, and hoping that some of the condensation will have dissipated. We'll see. Well, it's just wet now instead of ice, so that's a little better. Time to get all this packed up. Once again, the sleeping bag is the most difficult part of this to pack up. Are you just so full of energy? How can you be so full of energy? I don't know how he can be so full of energy. Hardest part done, the sleeping bag. Even with my minus 25 degree rated bag last night, I was a little chilly. And I had my warm water bottles. But I had bad campsite selection. I'm very near the water, and I'm kind of in a low spot. So it was a little extra chilly. I try not to camp in low spots or that close to water, but it was the flattest spot I could find at the end of the day. So this is a wonderful sleeping bag, but it doesn't make up for bad site selection. Are you bored waiting for Mama to pack up her stuff? Is it boring? I'm gonna take a nap now. He's such a good boy. Definitely going to be taking my time getting everything together because a lot of stuff is still wet. I've got Fluffy's sleeping bag and both of our sleeping pads drying out on a little juniper bush, and that's going to take a little time. So that's okay. I could use a snack and still have to take down the tent and finish packing up all the rest of the crap that's in there. So, slow morning, and that's okay. I was hoping that giving enough time for it to warm up, I would be able to get my stakes out, but we're gonna have to chip at them with the trowel. Oh, holy cow. Unfortunately, I buried some of these stakes pretty good in the snow. I think I'm going to have to invest in a shovel, lightweight shovel to bring if I intend on doing more winter camping, which I do intend on doing, but getting the stakes out is a chore. I've got 2 left. One more to go. Ugh. Yay! My goodness, that took an extraordinary amount of time. Oh, definitely going to make different plans for winter anchors. At least when we have the snow. There just weren't, I was going to use rocks, but there weren't good rocks around here to use. So I had one rock. Well, gonna have to look into that. See what's good for using in snow. A little bit breezy. Fortunately, it's kind of a warm wind. Ready to put your outfit on? Too lazy to stand up? Alright, good. You stand up a little bit. Come. Get outside. Good boy. Oh, careful. Careful. There we go. Okay, just let this foot. Oh. In the summertime, this beginning part of the hike is right along a lovely little babbling brook, but it's a little frozen over right now. That's okay. The weather is actually really gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's not too hot, not too cold, just perfect. Go on, you can do it. Or you can go around. The beginning part of the trail is pretty chill and mellow, but now we are going up. A little more challenging going up, especially in the ice and snow. We climbed up a bit. Whew. Heart's still racing a little bit. And we have come to a trail junction. We came from the trail behind me. And then straight ahead is another trail. I don't know what trail that is. If you turn left at the trail junction, you will be remaining on trail 800, which you should do. Yesterday when I came down here, I had the only footprints on this trail and post holed a lot. but I think it might be a little more packed down. There's been several people that passed me this morning when I was taking down camp, so it looks like some of them might have come up this way. That's a good thing. The more this trail is packed down, the easier it'll be. We do have to go up a bit more to gain this ridge. Just when you think you're making progress, there's more. More up. That wasn't too bad. I am a little out of breath, but I'm a little out of shape. So now it's going to be kind of gently up and down, but more down than up to the rest of the way to Lenny's Rest. I need to get out and do this more often. It's kind of crazy what changes this trail has seen in just 24 hours. It's a lot easier walking because the snow is packed down. And in just 24 hours since I was here last, a ton of that snow has melted. So there's a lot less snow on the trail. It's kind of astounding because it wasn't that warm yesterday. Or last night. But I'm grateful. It's a lot easier to walk on trail than it is to walk on snow. The last time I hiked this trail, it was the dead of summer, and I got a little heat exhaustion because this portion, walking along a ridge line, can get really, really hot, and it's totally dry in the summer. And that tree behind me is where I sat in the shade and recovered. Sat around for like an hour and drank as much water as I could and was fine, but be forewarned, in the summer this can be very hot. But views are starting to open up and it's looking really pretty. After a little bit of climbing, we have made it to the high point of this ridge, and there's this lovely little rock outcropping that's completely blocking the view. This part would probably be easier if I didn't actually have my spikes on, but I'm going to be walking in snow in like 5 seconds, so I'm not taking them off. And there's the snow. After gaining the high point, we are descending the ridge rapidly. This is a lot steeper than it looks. I have to go really slow because it's steep and icy. Okay, it's better. It turned from icy to slushy, and the spikes stick in this a lot better. There's still a little careful snow trudging to do. Gotta watch your step on this stuff because it's not very stable. We are at a crossroads. That's where we just came from, the Indian Creek Trail. Coming in from the right is the trail that you would have been coming on if you were hiking from Roxborough State Park. And this is the way we go to get to Lenny's Rest. I'm going to take this opportunity to stop at the crossroads and have a little lunch. A fairly late lunch because I had a very early breakfast but a late morning snack. So I think there's a little flat spot up ahead that we're going to take the pack off and put our feet up and have a little snack. All right, come here, little muffin. Oh. Let's unload your packs so you are not carrying so much for our little break. And your food's in there. You hungry? You want some lunch? There you go. You can put some more in there. There you go. Whoa. Gonna take off my spikes and my shoes for the moment. Maybe even take the gaiters off. Maybe they'll dry out a little bit. I'm sorry, buddy. I mean, I kind of kick your face there. Good boy. Oh. Socks are kind of wet. I think mostly just from sweat. So I have plastic bags inside my shoes because the waterproofing on these is long gone. They were Gore-Tex, but the Gore-Tex was no longer waterproof within one season. So I did spray them with a bunch of waterproofing just before this trip, but it has worn off as well. So my feet are getting wet. That's okay. The plastic bags keep it from being a problem. And I have extra socks. We're having an extra special, exciting lunch. Tortilla. And lemon pepper tuna fish. It's not that good, but it will do. What, you want lemon pepper tuna fish? Yeah, apparently. Well, it's not the most exciting lunch ever, but it hits the spot. That was a nice little lunch break, and now it's just a hop, skip, and a jump, 0.2 miles to Lenny's Rest. We have reached Lenny's Rest, and there was a fellow up here that sat and talked to for a little bit. 74-year-old guy that comes up here 3 days a week, combination hiking and biking. and does the whole thing to the Platte River. Pretty impressive. That's who I want to be when I'm 74 and 80 and 90. Lenny's Rest is a crossroads. Where we came from was this trail right here. And helpful signs point you to Roxborough State Park and Indian Creek Trail. If you were coming up from Waterton, you would be coming up this trail. And very helpfully tells you Colorado Trail this way. So you would come up to Lenny's Rest. It's a good place for a rest. There's a nice little bench here. The bench was placed here as a memorial to a fellow named Lenny who died in a hiking accident when he was 18. And this bench is here as a memorial to him. The local Boy Scout troops maintain the bench. In fact, they just replaced it with a new bench. And it's a nice little spot. You can get kind of blazing hot here in the summertime, but it's very pleasant today. All right, we're hiking down through the scrub oaks. It's very pretty. You can see how all these mountains converge down into a valley. That's where we're going. There's an instant change in air temperature and the amount of snow once you get down off of Lenny's Rest. Things are getting a little greener as we're getting closer to the stream bottom. It's very pretty. You stopping for some water in one of the puddles? Good boy. It is absolutely crazy how much snow has melted in the last, now on this part of the trail, the last 48 hours. Absolutely insane. There's obviously still a lot of snow, but I was trudging through this through one other person's tracks and having to break quite a lot of the snow myself too. So this is like walking on a highway. See all that shiny stuff? That's ice. Solid ice. I just met this, I have to be careful where I step, nice young gentleman trail running the trail in just tennis shoes, shorts, t-shirt. He may have had a water bottle. His knees were pretty skinned. I think from this would be so treacherous without spikes on. Well, I think he probably learned. He had a very Midwestern accent, so I bet this is his first real Colorado winter, or at least his first real hiking in a Colorado winter. So he will figure it out. In the meantime, wow, this is just so gorgeous and green down here. So pretty. And there's Fluffy blazing the trail. We have made it to just about Bear Creek, and there's a camp spot down there, but it does not look like it's flat. So we're going to walk on. Just to the left, there's another one right up here that looks pretty flat, but is not the one we're going for. We have reached Bear Creek, and it's all snowed over. You can actually bushwhack upstream, which is behind me, which doesn't look very inviting right now, and reach Strongia Reservoir. And there's a really nice camp spot right next to the reservoir, and you can fish a very infrequently fished reservoir. It's about a mile hike up there, and based on the way it looks right now, we're not doing that. I probably will come back and do that some summer though. You would be tromping a mile through this stuff, which is pretty deep snow right now, and there's no actual trail. We have just passed Bear Creek, and it looks like down on your right there's some good camping spots too. That's still not where we're going. We are going a little higher in elevation. Very much on purpose, so that we are not sitting on a river bottom and getting freezing cold. Our first real decent flowing water. Fluffy's taking advantage. Fluffy knows where he's going, apparently. This is going to be our campsite. Kind of icy, but it's flat, and it's about 1/10 of a mile up from that small little stream, so it's actually in a pretty good spot. I've changed my mind. It's a woman's prerogative to change her mind, and we are headed back down towards Bear Creek to the little spot we saw up the hill from the creek a little bit, because I cannot find one spot on that little campsite that isn't covered in ice. And that wouldn't be so bad. It would be hard, but it's ice that's melted a little bit, and I'm pretty sure it's going to refreeze overnight, and I don't want my tent freezing to the ground. So we're going to a drier spot. Back down the icy switchbacks. Crossing our small little stream again. Back up the hill again to the spot that I rejected before, but that is looking much better now. There's a nice flat spot. I don't actually care for how many big dead branches there are above my nice flat spot. This is the other flat spot. There are some dead branches too, but not as bad. I think if I position my tent correctly, I shouldn't be directly under the big branches, but we'll see. That's the two flat spots that are dry in this area. So yeah, let's get camp set up. Fluffy is sitting right where I planned to put the tent. He'll move, I think. There you go. It's really slanty. I'm going to put it at the spot up the hill a little bit that has all the branches. I'm just going to try to put my head where the branches won't fall. Much flatter. Head over there. It's actually nice unfrozen ground. Normally, I don't have a campfire. In general, I think they're a big pain in the butt. This stuff is not dry at all. But I have a solution. The only reason I'm making a fire is to hopefully dry my shoes and socks out a little bit. It's going to be a little teeny tiny fire. And we'll see if it works. This may be a waste of propane. But I'm thinking this gets hot enough to start that fire. Even with the wet grass. Because the grass is pretty wet. Man, it's just so wet. Will the oak leaves burn? Oh, oak leaves are burning pretty good. That may be our ticket. I may have to go find some more oak leaves. This might not be as dry. Oh, come on. That's sad. It just goes out. It's too wet. Well, so much for drying my shoes. Probably should have brought some fire starters. So my plan is to have a mountain house, heat up my little water bottles, and go to bed. Uh-oh. May need to put my propane in a pan of water. It's getting colder. Alright, we're going to put it in a pan of water. I have my butane sitting in a pan of water because it's actually getting chilly outside. And it doesn't want to light. There it goes. That'll make it run a little more efficiently by keeping that canister warmer than the air temperature. Well, I'm going to make my mountain house. And then I'm going to go to bed. We'll see you guys in the morning. Good morning. Good morning. Whew. Weather's not too cool this morning. It's not bad. But it is really overcast. So I'm looking at the sky, and that makes me think that the storm that is supposed to come in tomorrow could roll in a little sooner. So we'll see. I've got 7.7 miles to go. The next 4 miles are up, 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 to the high point of the trail. And when I came through here a couple days ago, going down that, there was a lot of snow. And in fact, I broke the trail there and was going through knee-deep snow. I suspect the situation is going to be a little different going back up because there's been multiple people going back and forth on the trail. At least 3, but enough to pack the trail down. And so it should be a little easier going up it than it was coming down it. But we'll see. We'll play it by ear. See what happens. I'm prepared to spend another night out on the trail. But if hiking is easy today, then I may just go all the way to the end. We'll see. I think I'm going to have all my coffee first, though, before I make that decision. I got up way too early this morning. And I have plenty of time to dilly-dally. Fluffy's passed out of camera range. I've had my coffee, brushed my teeth. It's getting a little chillier. I think it's time to get the show on the road. Good boy. Hi. I'm all packed up. It is now time for the most challenging portion of my morning, which is to put my very cold boots on. Cold and damp boots. Take off my nice camp shoes. Oh, there you go. Good boy. Are you ready to go? Got to make sure I have enough water for the climb up, so we're filling up the water bottle. This little drainage is lovely. Cold, but lovely. This stuff is just a solid sheet of ice this morning. I have to really pound my spikes into the ice so that I won't slip downhill because it's kind of steep too. An icy slope makes for a challenge. Whew. And the ice continues up the switchback. Hey, buddy. The sun is starting to make an appearance today. That makes me happy. It's around 11 a.m. We're still climbing up switchbacks. Still got a long way to go. He checks back on Mama every 10 or 20 feet to make sure I'm still following behind. I think he wishes Mama was a little bit of a faster hiker. Based on the footprints I'm seeing, not as many people have come this far up the trail. And there's Fluffy. He came running to Mom because Mom stopped. In the summertime, this particular spot has a really pretty waterfall. Right now it's completely iced over. Whew. So, the upshot, we are going uphill in not super well packed snow. It's challenging. That's okay. We're going to keep on keeping on. In the summertime, this area is also really lush and verdant with a ton of thimbleberries and raspberries and wild roses. If you come the right time of year, you can have a little feast as you walk along the trail. And that is Fluffy whining because Mom has stopped to talk. He wants to go. Are you ready to go? Okay. Fluffy has so much energy. He is in his element. I think maybe I need to put heavier stuff in his pack. Just 2 days ago, this was untracked and knee deep. As we're getting higher up, we're starting to get glimpses of the hills beyond. And Denver. Way out there is Denver. Oh, that's beautiful. We've got a little obstruction in the way. Fluffy has already bounded over it. Oh, this is much easier with ice spikes because they really grip that dead tree. Hey, bud. Made it. Well, one leg. And the other leg. Can you make it over that one? I think you can. Good boy. I think we reached an excellent spot to stop and have some lunch. You think that looks like a pretty good lunch spot? I think that looks like a pretty good lunch spot. We're going to sit right on that rock. Were you hungry? You going to eat your dinner, your breakfast, your lunch, whatever it is? Hungry boy. Today's lunch is a cold soak. It is sesame, ginger, kale, slaw with almonds that I'm going to put on a tortilla. Got the recipe out of a book. I can't remember what the book is called right now. But I'll put it on the screen somewhere right there. We'll see if it's any good. What, you like? Are you eating my sesame ginger kale slaw? Are you? Goof. This is our sesame ginger kale slaw with a lot of almonds. It's really good. It's kind of Asian inspired recipe and it's pretty tasty. I think the only thing I would do to improve this is I might add in like some jalapenos, and I would probably do like one of the bigger green spinach tortillas. Yeah, that would make it just about perfect. Jalapenos and spinach tortilla. Are you taking a little post-lunch nap? Yeah? Oh, you're such a good boy. We are where are we? We are 0.9 miles and 253 feet in elevation gain from the high point of this section of the trail. We are 4.6 miles to the end of this section of the trail. And in case you're wondering how I'm getting these precise numbers, I have an app called Gut Hooks that has a lot of the long trails on them, and it shows you where you are and shows you where the trail is and gives you all kinds of fun stats like that. Like, I've got 0.9 miles of a little bit of more climbing to do, but we should carry on and get that climbing over with. We have reached the high point. That's Long Scraggy Peak. That's a whole lot of burn area. And Raleigh Peak. And there's Chair Rocks and cathedral spires. Wow, it's beautiful. It's very windy now. We're gonna start heading down. We have about 3.5 miles left. Most of it's downhill. We have about 1,600 foot elevation loss, about 200 foot elevation gain. So easy peasy, pretty much, these last 3 miles. We're gonna cruise on down to the car. I did contemplate staying out another night because I do have another night's worth of food and I do have time to do another night, but my warm bed is calling me. I love being out here and not having people around, not having the cell phone to worry about, not having contact with the outside world, but I really want my warm bed. We have reached the kind of second highest point on the trail, and you get those same just gorgeous, gorgeous views. This would also be a really nice place to camp, and if I were deciding to stay the night again, this is actually where I would set up camp, and I would wake up to those views in the morning, which is just astounding. So lovely. Trail has finally become consistently dry for a little while, so I finally took off my ice spikes. It is very nice to not hear the crunch, crunch, crunch of my ice spikes when I walk. Almost down. As we get to the bottom of section 1, you can see where you're going in segment 2. You're going to be coming along here and cresting that ridge. You want to have plenty of water for that hike. Fluffy's picking up speed a little bit because he knows we're getting close. There's the South Platte. And there's the Jeep. It's still there. I do get a little concerned leaving the Jeep at a very popular trailhead close to Denver, but it does have an anti-theft device. It's stick shift. Is that the Jeep? You know where we're going? Are you ready? Are you ready to be back at the Jeep? There she is. All that's left to do is to dig my keys out of the backpack and head home. Thanks for coming along with us. We'll see you next time.